This is a very special Sabbath where we can remember about God's love. And as you look at the screen in front of you, I am always delighted. I am always touched when I look at this picture. And I invite you, as we look at this picture, there will be wordings up there about a song that leads us to Calvary. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and blessed for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Oh, that old rugged cross, so despised by the world, as a wondrous attraction for me. For the dear Lamb of God left His glory above to bear it to dark Calvary. Let us be our song. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. This morning, we are going to study the story, what happened to the Mount Carmel, and within this story, what happened to Mount Carmel, we are going to see a gospel there. We are going to see a good news there. If I talk about the Mount Carmel, we will remember about what happened during that time. The king who was leading Israel is King Ahab. Although he is the king, he must be also not only political leader, he should be spiritual leader. But he tends to forget. He didn't worship the Lord. He worshiped the idols, pagan gods, and because of that, he leads all the Israelites to become worshipers of other gods and instead of the Lord. There are many gods that they worship during that time. We know of Baal or Baal. But other than that, they also worship Dagon, which look like half man, half fish, and also Moloch. They have to burn this god made out of bronze and made it until it become hot, red hot. And what they bring to present as their offering is they bring their babies, their sons, their daughters into the hot, red hot hands of this iron god. There is also the goddess of Ashtoreth. which they believe can give them fertility for the ground that they work, that they cultivate. And all these gods, Baal, is believed that he has the power to give rain to those who believe and pray for him. But this didn't happen. God sent one of his very famous prophet. His name is Elijah. Why this prophet is so famous? Because the Bible, God tells him that he has a kind of spirit, that his spirit will lead people to worship God at the end, preparing God's people for the New Testament era. But also, before Jesus Christ come for the very first time, it is also being prophesied that there will be the spirit of Elijah to usher the coming of Jesus Christ for the very first time. He is famous because his spirit is also promised. It will be given at the end time to prepare us, to prepare God's people for Jesus Christ's second coming. God sent Elijah to tell the Israelites, to tell Ahab, if they still worship Baal, that they believe can give prosperity, give rain, then the Lord will not give rain and dew, not only for 1 or 2 months, not only for a year, not only for 2, but 3.5 years. It is a very long drought. Even in Somalia right now, they are struggling with long drought. And even it's only almost a year, but many people has lost their lives. They have even thinking of leaving their countries and find other place to live, because this is going to be repeated from years after years. But what happened to the Israel people? 3.5 years. So there's maybe what I put in front here in the screen, kind of like the situation at that time. Drought everywhere, animals dying. There is no green thing, only brown and dry and dust blowing everywhere. And Ahab was frustrated about this. He sent his faithful man named Obadiah to go to search for water so that they can maintain their lives. While they were walking, while Obadiah was walking, he met with Elijah. And Elijah said, the Lord has a message that he wanted to prove to all Israel that he is God. And he will surely do a miracle by sending rain to this place. And so I would like you to gather God's people, the Israelites. Because the Israelites, they are living in a double standard life. They do know that there is Yahweh, God in heaven, who is mighty and powerful. But at the same time, they are also worshiping this idol. They haven't made their decision. And God sent his messenger. His messenger's name is Elijah. What is the meaning of Elijah? From the root word, from Greek, from Hebrew, which means Jehovah is God. My God is Jehovah. So it is not coincidence God chooses him to present the message, to present God as God, the Creator, God who controls everything. And there, they are called together to come to Mount Carmel. This is the picture of Mount Carmel. I have never been there. I took it from internet. If they put other mountain there, I don't know. But for those who has been there, you might know that it's true or not. But I do believe that after looking and comparing several other pictures, this is Mount Carmel. So we can see here, it's high above the valley there. And when people gather up there, they can see a very good view from up there. And when the Israelites gathered there, I'm sure that at that time, they were very enthusiastic because they are going to see what will happen. Who is powerful? Is it God or is it Baal? Is it the creator of the universe or the things that he created and people made, craved into image so they can bow down to worship? When everybody gathered on this mountain, Elijah spoke a very short sermon, but very powerful. 1 Kings 18 verse 21. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him." But the people said nothing. This is the message of Elijah. Although it's short, but it is very important. Why? It's because throughout this quarter, we are studying, or we have been studying about worship, the essential of worship. The Lord created us to have the longing to worship. And the Lord wants us to worship him. He gave us the freedom of choice, the power of choice to choose to worship him. But then we found out how people did not make the wise decision. Adam and Eve did not make the right decision. Lucifer did not make the right decision. And so throughout the history of humankind, from the beginning until the end, we are dealing with this issue. At Elijah's time, they are called to make their decision whether to worship God, the Creator, or to worship Baal. The things that they think, that they believe can give them prosperity. The things that they believe can give them joy and happiness other than God. And at the end time, before Jesus Christ is going to come to this world, the same message is being presented to our time. The Lord calls us, the theme of Revelation is also worship. Whom you will worship? We are called in Revelation 14. We have the message to call the people of the world to worship the Lord because his judgment hour is here. And also we have to worship the Lord because the Babylon is not the true worship. We have to come out because Babylon is falling down, tumbling down. It means that we have to go out if we believe that the truth is presented through his church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we have still doubt whether to believe in what the Bible says concerning this church and believe in the Bible truth. We have to make decision. The Lord called us to make decision to worship God or to worship Baal. There is no place in between. We have to make decision, and it is very important. We have to make that decision every day, now and then, in our life. Make a commitment to fully trusting in him and believing and also worship him. And Elijah, after saying that, he said, "Let us make an altar." So there are hundreds, thousands, millions of Israelites gathering on that mountaintop. And I do believe that King Ahab has announced a decree so that everyone would go up to that mountain. And so many people, millions of people gathering there. It's not a small number. It's not only just few congregations like us here, because the prophets of Baal is 450 people. We are not even 400 people here in this church. And their followers are many. There are many people. And you see that the Lord has, Jesus Christ mentioned, there are two ways. The two roads, big and the wide one and the narrow one. The wide one, the big road, many people follow that one. But the narrow one, only few people join and walk faithfully on that narrow road. And Ellen G. White also adds about this narrow road where only few people walk in it. That when you walk through it, the path becomes narrower and narrower, and you could not bring anything. The Adventist people were carrying their luggages and all these things, but finally they come to a place where they have to leave everything behind and walk on their knees, struggling, and there is no other way at the end. But then a rope from up above came. This is a picture of how our journey at this end time. We have to be serious in our decision to walk with Him and follow Him. And Elijah said, now we make 2 altars. Because you are many, he said to the priest of Baal, you make your own first. Put on the woods, put on this bull, and do not put fire. You have to pray for your God. Do as you please. Do as your ritual you usually did to worship Baal. And if Baal answered with fire to burn this offering, to burn this sacrifice, then Baal is the true God. So they did. They make their altar and they jump and they cry and they went around praying and do their chantings, their mantras and all those things. And Elijah watched carefully because they might, hide something and they might throw up there and then it's going to be burned and people will be deceived. And Satan is master of deceiver. So he watched them carefully. From morning till 12 o'clock, nothing happened. Can you imagine on top of mountain where hardly you can see the picture previously, trees, big trees for them for shade. But what they are doing, they are jumping and singing and saying their chantings. And Elijah said, maybe your God is asleep. Maybe he's away. Maybe he's busy. Shout louder. Pray louder. Wake him up. And so they did those things. But the worst thing, as you can see in this picture and also pictured in the Bible, is that they tried to hurt themselves. And this is the typical kind of worship for the people that don't worship God. Any other gods that we worship beside God, we are going to hurt our own selves. If we don't believe in God and we say, I want to worship music, I want to believe in happy life of young people, I have seen young people came to visit me with their hands trembling, with their minds cannot concentrate and focus because they deal with drugs. They cannot sleep. They cannot find happiness because they satisfy themselves with the things on this world and they destroy their life. And what happened to these people when they worship? They hurt themselves. And still, there is no answer. 1 Kings 18:29, and it came to pass when the midday was past, so it's about 3 o'clock, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice. But there was no response. No one answered. No one paid attention. And so, what Elijah do? In 1 Kings 18 verse 31, he says, Elijah took 12 stones. These stones represents the tribes of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob. They were scattered. Now they are not in unity because 10 tribes make their own kingdom and the 2 tribes, Judah and a little bit of Benjamin, stay to make and maintain the kingdom of David, which is located, their city is located in Jerusalem. They are scattered all around.